Hey guys, welcome back to Zach Colored Coding. In this video, we'll be looking at how to make a quiz game in Java. So the simple application will show several multiple choice questions to the user, who will then be able to select an answer from a drop-down menu. Then at the end, they will be told what their score was. So let's head over to Eclipse to get started. So firstly, let's create a new project in Eclipse, a new Java project. We will call this project Quiz. Let's add a class to the project. We'll be building this whole project in one class. So let's call this class Quiz as well, and we'll add a main method. To build this project, we'll be using the JOptionPane class in the javax.swing package. So let's import javax.swing.jOptionPane. To start off, let's show the user a welcome message. So we'll be doing this in the main method. Let's use JOptionPane, and we'll use the show message dialog method. As you can see, there are several different versions of this method, which require different parameters. We'll be using this one, which is 4 parameters. The first parameter is the parent component. Since the dialog box will be the only thing displaying in the application, we do not need a parent component, so this can remain as null. The second parameter will be the message to be shown. Let's write, let's play a quiz game. The third parameter is the title to display at the top of the dialog box, so this can be welcome. And the fourth is the style of the dialog box. So for this, let's type JOptionPane.plainMessage. So at this point, we should run our application to check that it works up until now. So remember, to run the application, we right click and select Run as Java Application. As you can see, it is displaying welcome, and let's play a quiz game. So the next thing we're going to want to do is ask the user a question. To do that, we will be using a different method, also in the JOptionPane class. So JOptionPane.showInputDialog is the method that we will be using. This method will take 7 parameters. The first one can again be null. We do not need a parent component. The next one will be the question. I will be making a quiz on soccer, but you can make a quiz on whatever theme you like. So for the question, I'll be writing, who is Man City's top scorer in the 2022/23 season? The next parameter will be the title to display at the top of the dialog box. So let's write question 1, since this is the first question. The fourth parameter will again be the style of the dialog box. So JOptionPane.plainMessage. Let's just make a line break here so our code looks neater. The fifth parameter is an icon, which can be displayed in the dialog box, but this is optional, so we can write null. The sixth parameter will be the options that the user can enter for their answer. For this, we will be using an array. So let's define an array at the beginning of the main method. So it will be a string array. Let's call it answers. And we'll put in 3 items. I'll be putting in Riyad Mahrez, Erling Haaland, and Phil Foden. We can then insert answers in as the 6th parameter. The last parameter will be which option is selected by default. If we put in null for this parameter, be the first item in the array by default. And this is what we want. So we are done with that question. Let's run our project again. Hey guys, we'll be back in a minute. Just wanted to say, if you have not already enrolled in my Java course, use the link in the description to get a potential discount. Or simply look up Become a Java Programmer on udemy.com. As you can see, it is asking us the question, and we can select an answer from the choices. So now that we have one question, how are we going to add others? Well, you may be thinking we could just copy and paste this code and into other questions like that, but it turns out there's a better way to do it, which is using a for loop. But since the questions and answers need to be different each time, this for loop will be running through an array of questions as well as an array of correct answers. So let's create these arrays. So the array of questions will be another string array. Let's call this array questions. And then I'm going to be putting in 5 items for now. We can always add more later. So I will put in my original question, as well as 4 more that I have predefined for the sake of time. So I will just copy and paste those in. And we have our array of questions. For the array of possible answers, we will actually need to use an array of arrays. And each of those arrays that are within the main array will contain strings. To define an array of string arrays, we type string as before, but then we need a double set of square brackets. Then within the braces, we will add several sets of braces, and between each of those, we will put in our answers. So let's put in 4 more sets of braces. And again, I've predefined answers, so I'll copy and paste those in. And then lastly, we need to create an array of correct answers. So again, it will be a string array. Let's call it correct answers. And the 5 correct answers will be Erling Haaland, Harry Maguire, Leicester City, Son Heung-min, and Aaron Ramsdale. Now that we have the necessary arrays, we can create our for loop. So for, and let's create an int I, which we will increment each time the loop runs. So int I, the initial value can be 0. We will run the for loop while I is less than questions.length. If you're wondering why we're using less than instead of less than or equal to, this is because the array index starts at 0 and goes up to 4, but our array length is 5. And if we try to run the for loop with an index of 5, there is no index of 5 in the array, so we would get an error. So it must instead be I is less than questions.length. Then we will increment I by 1 each time. Then we can move this show input dialog command inside the for loop. But instead of the question that we had originally, the second parameter will instead be questions index I. So the first time the loop runs, this will be the first item in the array. The second time it will be the second item, and so on. For the title of the dialog box, you will still display the word question, but then we will display the number that I is plus 1. Because remember, the array list index starts at 0, so for the first question we want it to be 1, so we will need to add 1. The fourth parameter can stay the same. Then the sixth parameter we will change to be answers again, index I. Now that we have this done, the last thing we need to do inside the for loop is check if the user's answer is correct. To do this, we need to create an answer variable. So let's create a string user answer, and we will set it to this show input dialog, except we need to convert it to a string using the toString method. So now whatever answer the user enters will be saved into the user answer string. Then we will use an if statement. If user answer dot equals correct answers index I, then we want to increase the user score by 1. So let's create an int score. We will initialize it to 0. And if the user's answer equals the correct answer, we will increment it by 1. Score plus equals 1. We are almost done. The last thing we should do is display to the user what their score was at the end. So make sure you're putting this code outside of the for loop. So we'll use the JOption pane again, JOption pane dot show message dialog. The first component can be null. The second component, let's put in well done, you scored, and then let's display to them. And then let's display to them the score variable. And then we'll type in out of. And then let's display questions.length. We could just put in 5 here, but in case we want to add more questions later, this will make sure it checks how many they have scored out of the full amount of questions that there are. The third component, which is the title, can be congratulations. And the last parameter can be JOption pane dot plain message. We have now finished creating the app. So let's test it out, check that it works. So click the run button. We're getting our welcome message. Let's select Erling Haaland for this question. And Harry Maguire. Let's enter an incorrect answer for this one to check that everything works correctly. Then this one should be Son Heung-min. And this one, Aaron Ramsdale. And it says, well done, you scored 4 out of 5. So that is how to build a quiz application in Java. Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. Now go ahead and hit that subscribe button or check out my Java course, and I'll see you in my next video.